It's time to check in on the livestock markets with our livestock marketing specialist, Dr. Derrell Peel. Derrell, what do the latest trade data say for beef exports?
You know, the latest trade data for the month of September showed something we've been concerned about for some time. Beef exports in September were down 5.7%. We had a small decrease in March, but this is the largest decrease in beef exports in about 30 months. So we've had a good run. We had record level exports in 2021, but we've been worried about some headwinds with the strong dollar, with global economic weakness. We're still up for the year, about 4.6% so far this year. But it looks like beef exports are going to struggle a little bit in the coming months.
So what about beef imports?
Beef imports, you know, started the year really strong, but for the last 4 months they've been down. In September they were down about 9.6%. We're still up for the year, but we're coming down, and we'll end the year probably just modestly higher. Beef imports may actually get a little bit of a boost from the strong dollar as we go into next year, particularly when we start to see beef production drop as expected.
So domestically, how is beef demand shaping up?
You know, beef demand has held up pretty well this year when you look at all the challenges that everybody has faced. Consumers certainly face a lot of challenges. And so, you know, if you look at wholesale beef values, we've traded sideways in a relatively narrow range most of the year, which didn't show some of the normal seasonality. So that probably says there's some sort of limitations, kind of some caps on beef demand, but at the same time, it really hasn't dropped very far. The retail prices for beef have just been steady pretty much every month this year. So we have not seen real weakness yet. It's still something that we're watching going forward.
So driving down the road, you can look off into a pasture and maybe see some little bitty baby wheat showing up. So is there going to be any chance for wheat grazing going in for the rest of the year?
Well, we are getting some wheat established, in some cases some pretty decent stands, some others a little more spotty. If we continue to get moisture, you know, we'll get some potential. You know, the wheat's way behind. It's probably 5 or 6 weeks behind where it would normally be. So we won't see much grazing probably for the rest of this year, or if at best right at the end of the year. But we might get a little bit going into next year if we continue to get moisture.
And a little bit helps.
A little bit will help, absolutely.
So how's the fall feeder cattle run shaping up? What's that looking like?
You know, normally we have our biggest volumes in the fall as we get into that fall feeder run. We had large volumes of feeder cattle all summer in the auction markets in Oklahoma. And so as expected, in about mid-October, we saw that flip, and we saw a couple of weeks of year-over-year decreases in those auction runs. It popped back up last week. But I think going forward, as we get into what's normally the biggest ones, we're going to see probably smaller than usual runs. Feeder cattle markets have already bottomed for the fall for whatever. It wasn't really much of a seasonal decrease, but it did bottom about mid-September or mid-October, excuse me. And we've already seen a fairly significant rally in these markets in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
All righty, thanks, Derrell. Dr. Derrell Peel, livestock marketing specialist here at Oklahoma State University.